Hey guys, how are you all? I'm a shadow clone here and I hope you all are fine. So, I'm back with a new video of What If Naruto, the God of Destruction. So this is part 1 of this series. Please show some love by subscribing to the channel and leaving a like for this video. Chapter 1. A blonde-haired boy of 13 could be seen sinking to the bottom of the ocean, a huge sword lodged into his side due to the actions of his supposed teammate. The boy had stunning blue eyes that shined with an unyielding will. His skin was tan, and 3 whisker marks could be seen on each side of his face. The boy was dressed in an orange and blue jumpsuit and blue sandals. This boy is Uzumaki Naruto, and he was both drowning and bleeding out. All because his teammate Uchiha Sasuke had gotten upset that he had talked the enemy out of fighting, keeping the boy from gaining his oh-so-precious Sharingan. He, with what he thought was his last act in the world of the living, lifted up his middle finger and gurgled out, "Fuck you Sasuke team." He then blacked out, not knowing that his body had just been wrapped in a pure white shell of energy. Inside of the shell, 3 women appeared. The first of the 3 had long silver hair that spiked out everywhere. She had pale skin that seemed to shine in the shell. Her eyes were this stunning shade of gold that could make a dragon lick its lips in lust. From her head 2 thick horns could be seen poking out. Her ears were pointed and elegant. She was dressed in a light plum kimono with red prayer beads around her neck. On her lips was a light appliance of pink lipstick. The next woman had long flowing light-colored hair that was simply regal. Her eyes were pale white and had no pupil. Her skin was also pale, yet didn't shine like the other woman's. In the center of her forehead was a vertical slit. Poking out of her hair was what looked like 2 horns. She was dressed in a simple high-collared Heim-style kimono that was white and had black commas woven into collar and in the sides. She had a light appliance of purple lipstick on her lips and her fingernails were painted a royal purple. The last of the 3 women had long black golden blonde hair that seemed to shine with a supernatural light. Her skin was fair and blemish-free. Her eyes were large green emeralds, her pupils shining red rubies. The strange thing was the golden arch-like things on her side and back. She was dressed in a wide and dark gray kimono that had a strange pattern going up the front. Around her eyes were thick gold lines. These 3 were Tsubasa or Shinigami, Otsutsuki Kagaya, otherwise known as Princess Kagaya or Cabot Goddess, and Kami, otherwise known as Arceus, the goddess of Pokemon. Tsubasa, looking down at Naruto, gently removed the sword from his side. She then removed his shirt and jacket. Her eyes gained a cold fury, spotting the many scars covering his body, including what looked like the words demon spawn carved into his chest. She, turning to Kagaya and spotting the appalled eyes of the woman, said, "He is your one shot at redemption. You see, 13 years ago I sealed the 9-tailed fox inside of him due to Kami making a mistake during her paperwork, marking him as the Jinchuriki of said fox and my summoner not paying the price with his life. He was then subjected to treatment should ever go through. Tsukiyomi personally witnessed him almost being beaten to death 4 times. Amaterasu witnessed him almost being raped 6 times. I myself witnessed him be starved and he be crucified. What amazes all of us is that he hasn't snapped yet, nor has he been corrupted by the evil of life. No, he's still pure as the driven snow." Kami, realizing her mistake a few years ago, instantly started to paperwork to fix her blunder. She, gaining a happy smile on her face, said, "She just finished the paperwork and now things can be fixed. Kagaya, you have been chosen to be his mother as his true family left him to fend for himself in that damned village. Kami has been listening to request to introduce a few of your children to this world and has decided to grant said request by allowing the Pokemon as a brand new summon that will go to Naruto. Don't worry, he won't abuse them or anything, in fact you'll probably see this as his family or precious people and protect them with his life. Also, could you maybe bless him with the powers of a few legendaries?" Kami, hearing this, smiled and said, "I can, but after Kagaya-san becomes his new mom." Tsubasa, hearing this, smiled and turned to Kagaya, who was already kneeling beside Naruto. She, gently touching one of his whisker marks, said, "He is going to be my new Sachikin. Such a strong will, such potential." She, turning to Tsubasa, asked, "Besides informing us of this and bringing us here, what else is your business here?" Tsubasa, giggling, said, "I am here to give him the blessing of Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, Susanoo, Izanami, Izanagi, Yami, Kami, and myself. As you know, that makes all 8 of the eternal deities to give him their blessing, which will turn him into a new god. Also to ask him what he wants to do with the Kyuubi." Kagaya, hearing this, nodded and asked, "How will I be turning him into my son?" Tsubasa, smiling, pulled out a very shiny and sharp needle. She said, "With this. It's been blessed by Kami ni and Izanagi Oji. I simply get some blood from you, it interacts with Kami and Izanagi's power, and hello nurse, it's changed into pure DNA that once introduced to his system will transform him into your new darling baby boy." Kagaya, hearing this, rolled up the sleeve of her kimono and said, "Then please get to work. As I want to hold my baby for a little while before I'm forced back into that cursed prison my 2 eldest trapped me." Tsubasa nodding, stuck the needle into Kagaya's arm and drew enough blood to fill the syringe. She removing the needle from Kagaya's arm, smiled when the red blood quickly turned golden. She then sticking the needle directly into Naruto's heart emptied the syringe. Removing the needle, she made the syringe vanish just as Naruto shot up with wide eyes. He then said, "I'm up Haruno, don't poke me with that flaming kunai." He then blinked when he heard three very distinct and very pretty sounding giggles. He turning his head gasped spotting the three women. Naruto was about to ask what was going on when Kagaya explained everything to him, even who they were. Naruto blinking at this, smiled and wrapped Kagaya in a warm hug and said, "Wow, I must be really lucky to have such a gorgeous woman as my new mom." Kagaya with a tiny blush on her face said, "I am truly the luckiest woman in the world to have such a flatterer for my new and youngest child." He then smiling at her asked, "So I noticed you have the Byakugan like the Hyuga clan. Does this mean I'm going to get it too?" Kagaya shaking her head said, "I'm afraid not, but you will be gaining something much better." Naruto with a curious look on his face asked, "What's better than one of the three great taijutsu?" Kagaya smiling said, "The fourth unheard of great taijutsu. Allow me to show it to you." She then closed her eyes and pushed chakra into the slit on her forehead. Naruto gasped when said slit opened up and an eye appeared. This eyes was dark red, with 6 large rings surrounding a single round dot. On each of the rings 6 Tomo sat, making a total of 36 Tomo in the eye. Did he forget to mention that the Tomo were snow white? Kagaya opening her eyes smiled and said, "Behold the fourth great taijutsu Chaosigan. Eye of Chaos, it has all of the abilities of the other 3 taijutsu, but amplified. For instance, the Byakugan can see almost 360 degrees in every direction and can see the chakra inside of someone's body. It can see the chakra in the air and allow you to manipulate the chakra all around you. Another for instance is the Rinnegan allows the user to wield all 5 of the elemental affinities. It allows you to not only do that, but to wield the elements and use the elements of light and shadow." Naruto hearing this said, "Whoa, that totally sounds badass mom." She giggling said, "It is baby. Now Kami-san has something for you." Naruto turning his eyes to Kami, gave her his full attention. Kami smiling said, "Alright Naruto-kun, I have decided to bless you with the powers of a couple of my more powerful exclusive children. The first will be Giratina, my little rebellious princess. She is the ruler of the distorted world and one of the most feared of my children. Next is Molters, he's the living embodiment of fire and is capable of producing flames that put the sun's flames to shame. Then we have Articuno, my little ice queen. She's literally the coldest of my children and can summon blizzards that could freeze an polar bear. Then we have Kyogre, who is said to have created the oceans while battling her older brother Groudon. She's literally a titan of the sea and when she primal reverts she can summon a storm that could flood the lands. Next to last we have Mutwo, who is one of the most powerful, yet most awkward of my children. Don't get me wrong though, she can crush a mind or anything for that matter with just a thought. Last we have Zekrom, the Pokemon version of the goddess of storms. She has lightning in her control and isn't afraid to use it to get what she wants, she usually sides with the person with ideals." Naruto getting an image of each Pokemon, felt like shitting his pants spotting Giratina, Kyogre and Zekrom. Mutwo reminded him of a Sasuke, while Moltres and Articuno looked like giant birds to him. Kami smiling said, "You'll be able to meet and work with each of them, since Kami has decided to allow you to exclusive privilege of summoning all of my wonderful children. Do treat them with love and care." Naruto smiling said, "I promise to treat them like they were my own flesh and blood and I never go back on my promises." Kami giggled hearing this. Tsubasa then stepping forward said, "Now for the last part. Otsutsuki Naruto, you have done something no mortal has ever managed to achieve. You have received not only the blessing of all 8 of the eternal deities, but have earned their respect. It is with great honor I welcome you to the position of the 9th eternal deity. It has been decided that you will be the god of carnage, technology and destruction." Naruto hearing this felt his mouth open wide. He shaking his head managed to stand and bowed deeply. He said, "I am deeply honored Shinigami-sama. I will try my best to not dishonor the 8 eternal deities." Tsubasa giggling said, "I know you will. Anyway, I have a question to ask you." Naruto blinking asked, "What is it Shinigami-sama?" Tsubasa pouting said, "First of all call me Tsubasa-chan or Tsubasa-hime or at the least Tsubasa-ni. The question is what do you want to do with the Kyuubi?" Naruto blinking said, "Why does it matter what I want done with Jinx-ni?" Tsubasa smiling said, "Because now that you're an eternal deity, she can't stay sealed in you." Naruto hearing this pouted and asked, "Why not Tsubasa-ni?" Tsubasa smiling at him calling her sister said, "Because she wasn't even supposed to be sealed inside of you in the first place." Naruto hearing this, quickly started to think. He getting an idea asked, "Can she be sealed in something else?" Tsubasa tilting her head asked, "Like what?" Naruto pointing to Zabuza's sword asked that. Tsubasa picking up said sword, tossed it a few times and said, "Sure, just as long as promises to be a good girl." Naruto cheered and said, "Yay, now Jinx Nee can stay by my side." Tsubasa giggling waved her hand and a red orb floated out of Naruto and slammed into the sword. The sword then transformed from a thick and huge blade to a simple and elegant katana with a blood-red blade. Tsubasa then gaining a serious look in her eyes said, "Alright Naruto Itato, we have to go now. Kagaya has to return to the moon, Kami has to return to her dimension, and I have to return to the cursed paperwork." Kagaya hearing this wrapped Naruto in a gentle hug and said, "Stop hiding yourself away baby. Show your true skills and ask out Yuzuki Uago already. Trust me it won't end bad." Naruto nodding said, "Okay mom I will." All three women then vanished. Naruto walking over to his new katana, picked it up and said, "Alright Jinx you heard mom, it's time to pierce the veil." Chapter 2 He then closing his eyes took a deep breath and dropped the shell around him. Feeling the cold water hit his body, he closed his eyes and tried to focus on the power of molters, but was finding it really hard to focus with spotting all of the marine life all around him, including a hungry-looking shark. He finally feeling a raging burning inferno inside of his body, tapped into it. His body instantly lit aflame and he swore he could hear the screech of a large bird. He crouching down, packing all of his chakra into his legs, prepared to jump. He shooting up, quickly breached the surface of the ocean and was in the air above the bridge. He didn't know it, but his entire body was surrounding in a cloak of flames that had taken on the shape of a bird. He looking down, could see all of wave and a little beyond said country in each direction. He then focusing his eyes down, tightened his grip on Jinx spotting Kakashi beating the shit out of Sasuke. Sakura was trying to stop said man. Haku was being held back by Tazuna, who was being held back by Zabuza. The only person who didn't look like they wanted to rip the arrogant Uchiha to pieces was his utterly useless fangirl. He groaning wondered why and how did he ever have a crush on such a useless being. He shaking his head turned his attention to the rather large army moving towards the bridge, led by what looked like a midget. He knowing that this was Gato, smirked spotting the many ships the man had heading towards the bridge. He closing his eyes tried to remember the hand signs for the summoning jutsu. Remembering them, he scraped his finger across one of his larger canine teeth and went through the hand signs. Slamming his hand down on Jinx's blade he yelled out, summoning jutsu. A few poofs of smoke occurred and when the smoke vanished, on the ground were large light blue and red bipedal alligators along with large dark blue turtles with cannons in its shell. Naruto activating his powers from Mutuo sent the mental command to attack the ships coming this way and that he was Naruto their new summoner. The animals roaring, jumped into the water, well the alligators did, the turtles, walked to the end of the bridge and started firing large jets of water out at the ships. He then dropping from his position high in the air, appeared in front of Haku. He dismissing Molter's power, smirked at the wide eyes of Haku, Tazuna and Zabuza. Haku asked Naruto-kun. Naruto striking the nice guy pose said Yosh. The one and only, with some improvements. He then gaining a serious look on his face, turned around and said, "Oi Kakashi-sensei, as much as I would like for the team to be beaten to within an inch of his life, you're gonna have to wait as we have an army to deal with." Kakashi dropping the bloody and bruised Sasuke, turned to Naruto and gained wide eyes spotting Naruto's eyes. His Chaosigan activated revealing his dark purple eyes with 3 rings and 3 Tomo on the innermost ring. The Tomo of course were snow white. Naruto spotting his reflection in Kakashi's headband said, "I'll explain later sensei." He lifting Jinx onto his shoulder said, "We have business to handle." He turning to Zabuza said, "Time to show everyone why you're called the demon of the hidden mist." Looking at Haku he said, "You don't have to fight if you don't want to Haku." He smirking at Tazuna asked, "Hey old man got any sake left?" Tazuna wondering why he asked this nodded and pulled out a large bottle of said beverage. Naruto's smirk widened as he said, "Toss it here old man and you'll see something totally badass." Tazuna tossing Naruto the bottle, blinked when Naruto uncorked it and took a heavy swig of the drink. Naruto's cheeks were bulged out as he once again tapped into the powers of Molters and Mutuo. He speaking with his mind said white fire style, fangs of the great fire dog. Everyone including Sasuke gained wide eyes when out of Naruto's mouth and aura 10 huge fire dogs appeared, snarling and growling. All 10 of them were made of pure white flames and seemed to be alive. The largest dog howling, shot forward to attack the now visible army of Gato, the rest soon behind him. Naruto lifting up Jinx, said, "Let's cause some mayhem." Shadow clone jutsu. A poof of smoke later and 300 Narutos could be seen covering the bridge, each one holding up Jinx and coated in flames. Naruto then shot forward, followed closely by his clones. Zabuza smiling pulled out his backup sword and said, "I really like this kid." He then charged forward. Kakashi lifting up his headband, revealed his Sharingan and said, "Hokage-sama would kill me if I didn't help Naruto with this, besides what kind of big brother and sensei doesn't help his little brother slaughter an army." Haku putting on her mask, said, "I will help my first friend and will kill my emotions to help him save Wave." She then ran forward intent on helping Naruto and the others defend Wave. Sakura was being useless and trying to fawn over Sasuke, who was glaring at Naruto with pure hate. Naruto slicing through a thug, jumped over another one, crushing the man's mind with a thought. Landing, he kicked a man in his gut, making the man turn into a pile of still smoking black ashes. Naruto tossing a few kunai at some men, said wind style, tornado slicing blades. Huge blades of wind appeared and started slicing through men, forming large twisters that formed even more blades. He spotting a clone jump in the air, watched it go through more hand signs. It then called out fire style, dragon flame jutsu. Another clone not far away cried out lightning style, lightning dragon jutsu. The lightning dragon hit the twister, made it start shooting out sparks. Naruto spotting the fire hitting this cried out combination jutsu, raging lightning storm. The attack tore through thug after thug, spraying blood everywhere. Naruto ducking, shoved a sharp kunai into the throat of another thug. Grabbing that thug's head, he pulled with all of his might and pulled out not only the head, but the man's spine also. Sticking his hand in the man's mouth, Naruto started to kill other thugs with the man's spine. Did I forget to mention that Naruto was channeling some lightning chakra through the spine, so the thugs were dying painfully. Naruto then tossing the spine like a spear, shot forward with a kunai in each hand. Appearing behind a large group of thugs, he tossed the kunai at two thugs coming behind Haku, just as the thugs all separated from the rest of their bodies. Pretty soon all that was left of the army was Geto. Naruto, Haku, Zabuza and Kakashi were coated in blood. Some time ago the people of Wave had appeared and everyone was now standing in a circle around Geto, who was being held down by some Naruto clones. Naruto walking forward turned to the people and asked, "Alright people, what do you guys want to do with this scum?" The entire crowd screamed out, "Kill him." Naruto hearing this nodded and said, "Your wish is my command." He signaling to his clones, who pushed the man until his head was touching the bridge. Naruto walking over to the man, climbed up on the shoulders of one of the turtles. He raising his left hand said, "Geto, for your crimes a jury of your peers have sentenced you to death. There will be no mercy, no second chances. I Otsutsuki Naruto, the god of carnage, technology, and destruction am your executioner. Goodbye." Naruto then jumped into the air and once he was high enough, lifted his left foot and cried out to jutsu, curb stomp. He then came down and stomped on Geto's head, crushing it and causing blood and brain matter to explode everywhere. Naruto scowling said, "I knew that was a bad idea, but no, I decided to do it anyway. No, I've got to clean brain matter off of my feet." He then turning to the people of Wave smiled and said, "Wave, you are now free of the tyranny of Geto. The bridge can be built and your first steps to peace can be achieved. Rejoice." The people hearing this started to cheer loudly. Next thing Naruto was being tossed up and down, his name being cheered and praised, Haku, Kakashi, and Zabuza in the same boat. Naruto laughing joyfully said, "You're welcome." Kakashi was simply basking in all of the attention he was getting and not being called a pervert. Haku was blushing and Zabuza was scowling, not liking this one bit. Sasuke was scowling even worse as in his mind once again the dope had shown him up and stepped out of his place. Sakura was scowling as Sasuke was scowling and she already knew the source of said scowl. She growling said, "Naruto baka. I'm gonna punish you for upsetting Sasuke-kun." Tazuna on the other hand was happily chugging from his sake bottle as he was extremely happy. A week later, Naruto could be seen staring at a rather imposing statue on the completed bridge. It was him standing tall among a pile of bodies, Jinx shining brightly in his right hand and flames licking at his feet. His Chaosigan activated. The strange thing about the statue was the mark on his arm. It was a large C, with what looked like little bugs crawling over it and ruble around it. This symbol was what the people of Wave had decided his symbol was going to be and the symbol they were going to worship was going to look like. They had even created some new clothes for him with said symbol in it. He was now wearing a open purple jacket with black flames on it. On the back was the symbol in bright orange. On each of his hands were black metal plaited fingerless gloves. His pants were purple, with torn out knees, but seemed to be threaded back together with black strings. He had on thick black boots, purple strings making them his. Strapped to his back with a black strap was Jinx. His headband shining proudly on his forehead. Beside him smiling proudly was Kakashi. On his other side smiling fondly at him was Haku. Zabuza on the other hand was reading the words on the statue. Whistling the man said, "This is the statue of our hero. He was drowned in the waters below this very bridge and was brought back to life. Gaining the powers of a god. Beware all that trespass on this land seeking to do harm. The god of carnage, technology and destruction watches over this land, the land of his rebirth, the land of his first slaughter, land of his religion." He turning to Naruto said, "Damn brat, they really took what you said to heart. You know that they're going to start worshipping you even more now, right?" Naruto huffing said, "Whatever. Let's go to Konoha already before the fangirls swarm me again." Kakashi giggling said, "Welcome to the curse of the being baddest Naruto. Naruto, ignoring this statement, turned around and walked off of the bridge, walking right by the bruised and limping Sasuke and the arm in a sling and talking with a slur Sakura. Haku, who was right behind him, sent a glare at both people, remembering how the two idiots tried to take Naruto's power and kill him for refusing to give it to him. She then giggled, remembering that Naruto did a less powerful version of his curb stomp on the Uchiha and broke Haruno's arm in 7 different places, then proceeded to shut the girl up by delivering a literally jaw-shattering punch to the girl's face. They had enjoyed peace and quiet for 6 days now. Kakashi behind her pulled out his book, already preparing himself for the earful he was going to get once they got back to Konoha. Zabuza, pulling out his own copy of Kakashi's book, wondered how Naruto was going to get him into Konoha. Haku was going to be no problem, but he was a missing ninja, a powerful one at that. Naruto himself was wondering how his little future genin were going to respond to their boss Big Brother being a literal god now. He then stopped and giggled slightly, already picturing the looks on the council's face. He right there swore to bring a camera to record the moments forever. Another week later the group finally arrived in Konoha, yet Sasuke was still limping. This time though he was limping because he tried to have his way with Haku, and not only did Naruto beat the shit out of the boy, but Haku made the boy sterile, and Zabuza was close to sending the boy to the rest of his clan. Luckily for him, Kakashi informed them that he was still needed for the Chunin exams. Naruto also said that the civilian council might flip out if Zabuza killed their precious Uchiha. Naruto, once inside of the village, leads Zabuza and Haku to the Hokage's office, Kakashi behind them. Kakashi and Zabuza noticed something though. The people in the village was looking at Naruto with wide eyes, some of them even looking at him with respect. The closer they got to the Hokage tower, the more people started to do it. Haku soon picked up on it and narrowed her eyes, wondering what was going on. Naruto was too deep in his thoughts to notice. He was wondering how was he going to train his Dijutsu, as he couldn't even use any of the Sharingan properties, nor could he use anything of the Rinnegan besides the elements. He had full access to the Byakugan parts. Jinx was just as clueless as he was, she was also pushing him to learn some more sword skills, as she wanted to be used for more than a walking stick. Arriving at the tower, Naruto walked in and was walking up the stairs. Once outside of the doors to the Hokage's office, Naruto snapped out of his thoughts and gained a great big smile. He, kicking open the doors, said, "Oi old man, you might as well give me the hat now, as I'm back not from a C-rank mission, but according to Kakashi-sensei a high A to a low S-rank mission." Sarutobi hearing this smiled and said, "I know Naruto." Naruto hearing this blinked and asked, "How do you know?" Sarutobi, pulling out a little black book, opened it to a saved page and tossed it to Naruto. He, catching it, looked at it and gained huge comical eyes. The reason why was because he was looking at a picture of him coated in flames, slicing through a thug with Jinx. Kakashi was looking over his shoulder, gaping like a fish. Zabuza was trying very hard not to laugh. Haku, on the other hand, was very worried for her first friend now. Kakashi then read Otsutsuki Naruto Aka, the god of carnage. Eye color, natural unknown, believed to have an unknown Dijutsu. Hair color, platinum blonde or silver. Height, 5 feet 4 inches. Weight, possibly 160 pounds. Rank, genin. Elemental affinities, Kanton, Futon, and Raiten. Summonings, strange turtles with cannons and ferocious bipedal alligators capable of taking down entire ships. As a sword that has a blood-red tint and seems to be just getting used to it. Jinjutsu, skills unknown. Taijutsu skills, unknown, but known to have crushed Gato's head with a move he called the curb stomp. Ninjutsu skills, rather limited information, but knows the summoning, the shadow clone, a wind jutsu, 2 fire jutsu and the lightning jutsu, all being high ranked. And surround himself in flames that resemble a bird. Rank in Bingo Book, B-Note is the first genin to ever be put in the Bingo Book. He is a genin of Konohagakure. Naruto hearing this smiled and said, "Oh yeah. Now you'll surely give me the hat, old man." Sarutobi laughing said, "Maybe when you're placed in there as a S rank, but until then no." Naruto pouting said, "Mean." He, shaking his head, gained a serious look on his face and said, "Old man Zabuza Mamachi and his daughter Hakuyuko Mamachi are becoming Konoha shinobi, or I'll alert the Kunoichi population of a certain crystal ball that can pierce through anything." Sarutobi hearing this paled and said, "You wouldn't do that to your grandfather, would you?" Naruto snorting said, "Yes, if my grandfather doesn't make my friend and her father Konoha shinobi, and don't even try to call my bluff because I've got clones already in the village, with several of the more powerful Kunoichi gathered." Sarutobi hearing this sighed and said, "I knew letting Anko keep watch over you was a bad idea." Naruto making a victory pose said, "Damn right it was, old man. Anko ni taught me everything she knows, along with Ibiki Nai and Inachi-san." Kakashi giggled at the pale Sarutobi, who asked, "She took you to the T&I department?" Naruto laughing said, "Sure it did, claimed it would teach me to respect my elders. Instead of showed them how to get a prisoner to talk in 5 seconds. Last time I checked Ibiki Nai was still trying to beat my record." Sarutobi sweat dropped at this. He then shaking his head, pulled out 2 headbands and tossed them to Haku and Zabuza. He said, "Welcome to Konoha, and Anbu will lead the 2 of you to a home rented for you. Naruto, Kakashi stay, there's something else you 2 need to know." Haku and Zabuza nodding left, of course, after Haku gave Naruto a hug. Once they were gone, Sarutobi sighed and said, "Alright Naruto, what I'm about to tell you Kakashi already knows. Please hold all of your questions until I finish." Naruto nodding, didn't even see when Kakashi put his book away. Sarutobi then said, "Naruto, you are not an orphan. You are Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Namikaze Minato and Namikaze Uzumaki Kushina. You were born 13 years ago, when the Kyuubi attack. You have 2 older sisters. Kain and Akane. You have an older brother named Link, a twin sister named Naruko and have a younger sister named Natsumi. Yes, that means both Kushina and Minato are alive. While you were away, they came back to the village and not only did they announce who you really are, but removed you from your apartment. No one knew that they survived, not even me. I am telling you this because they are in the other room and have heard this entire conversation." Naruto hearing this felt his mind go blank for about 7 seconds. It then kicked back on and he instantly felt a burning hot rage build up inside of him. He could feel Jinx pushing her chakra into her sword. He could also hear her roar about bastards. Naruto clenching his fist, tried very hard to keep a tight lid on his emotions. That plan shot to hell when the door opened and his supposed family stepped out with large happy smiles on their faces. He clenching his eyes shut and gritting his teeth, was barely holding his rage down, but he knew Kakashi could feel his rage as the man was right behind him. Kakashi on the other hand wasn't even trying to keep his down, he unleashed the full brunt of his killing intent and glared a hole into the family. Kushina smiling walked over to Naruto and said, "Hello Naruto-kun. How have you been Sachi-kun?" Hearing this woman say this, was it? Naruto snapped. All of his killing intent along with that of Jinx's flooded not only the tower, but the entire village. Every single living being was brought to its knees at the massive intent to kill. Sarutobi in the office was grabbing his heart trying to stop the massive heart attack he was getting from the powerful killing intent. Kakashi was trying to catch his breath. Kushina was down on the floor with wide eyes filled with fear. The rest of the Namikaze family was faring no better. Naruto opening his eyes revealed his menacing dark purple eyes. His eyes now had 6 tomo on the innermost ring. The pupil was also slitted. He glaring at Kushina with all of the hate he could muster said, "Don't you dare call me that." Kakashi shaking his head, reached over to Naruto and said, "Naruto stop, you're going to kill the Sadame." Naruto capping his killing intent, stood from his chair. Walking to the door, he yanked it open. He turning to look at Kakashi said, "I'll be in the forest of death if you need me Kakashi-sensei. Tell Anko-ni this also." He then slamming the door shut, walked towards the forest of death. Sarutobi finally being able to breath said, "Oh dear sweat Kami. I've never felt such monstrous killing intent in my life." Kakashi getting to his feet said, "That was 10 times worse than the Kyuubis and he somehow managed to pull it all back in." Kakashi then ran to the trash can and puked his guts out. Minato helping a trembling Kushina to her feet asked, "What just happened?" Sarutobi with an "are you stupid" look on his face was about to answer when the door was kicked in and a glaring Anko appeared with a kunai in each hand and snakes hissing from her sleeves. She looking around asked, "Why did I just sense Naruto's killing intent and what the hell got him so upset to unleash it?" Kakashi finished puking, wiped his mouth and pointed to the Namikaze family. Anko's eyes landing on them, narrowed her eyes. She instantly understood what had happened. She ignoring Kushina, who used to be a big sister figure to her, turned and asked, "Where did he go?" Kakashi said, "Forest of Death." Anko sighing said, "Oh great, now it's going to take me all day to find him. Damn brat knows the forest better than I do." She turning to Sarutobi said, "Old man, I'm going to need some money for Ramen and Dango." Sarutobi sweat drooping, handed Anko a card and said, "That links to my personal account. Don't you dare bankrupt me. I still need to eat." Anko smiling too brightly said, "You bet old man, I'll buy you Dango too." She was then gone in a swirl of leaves, leaving a cursing Sarutobi behind. Sarutobi shaking his head turned to the Namikaze family and with a cold glare said, "Now you can start explaining to Kakashi and myself why you left him in this village." Minato sitting Kushina down on the couch turned to him and said, "Well you see it's like this." Chapter 3 When it was finished, Kakashi was looking at Minato and his family with eyes that said, "You're the most idiotic man in existence and I hope Naruto kills you for his revenge." Sarutobi on the other hand was repeatedly banging his head on his desk. He ending his little rock concert he said, "Namikaze Minato, that is the most idiotic thing I have ever heard. You leave your son, the one you decided to seal the Kyuubi into, to the mercy of this village, all because you were terrified the Shinigami would come and kill your family for cheating it out of death. Not only that but you train said boy's twin sister to cage level and then decide to come back after Kushina gives birth to another girl." Minato with a sheepish grin said yup. They blinked hearing someone snort. All eyes turning to the door blinked, spotting a bruised and dirt-covered Anko leaning into the door. She with the eye swollen shut said, "Naruto is going to kill you if any of you ever come near him." She then limping into the room followed by a concerned Kurenai, plopped down in the empty seat and asked Kakashi, "Did my little brat really become a fucking god?" Kakashi shrugging said, "I honestly had no idea, I was just grateful that he was alive, I forgot to ask him what happened to him." Sarutobi looking at Anko asked why. Anko groaning said, "Because like a baka I decided to entice him into a fight. I've never had such a thorough ass kicking in my entire life. I mean at first he was just using his fist and speed, but pretty soon I was dodging swipes from that sword of his that sliced through 7 trees. I tried to block one of his swings with a kunai and my hand nearly paid the price for such foolishness." He then started slinging out jutsu that I know for a fact are probably B ranked S rank, and if they aren't they should be. I mean he damned near drowned me when he summoned a massive tidal wave. I got burns in places that fire should never approach. I'm pretty sure my nipples are still swollen from how much lightning I got hit with. My leg is still trying to thaw out from when he nearly froze my legs." She then popping a joint in her shoulder said, "The craziest thing was that he kept vanishing and reappearing in front or behind me before hitting me with an attack. Hell, I couldn't even sense him move, like he wasn't even using chakra. He even made me witness many different things. He made me witness him making me beg, scream and moan for him." Kurenai put her hand over Anko's mouth and said, "Anko, there are children in here." Anko moving her eyes to Kurenai, licked her hand, forcing Kurenai to move it. Anko looking Kakashi in the eyes said, "I'm just glad he doesn't have full control over his Dojutsu, or I'm pretty sure I'd be in a hospital right now instead of him sleeping inside of his room at the T&I department." Sarutobi quirking an eyebrow asked, "You managed to defeat him?" Anko snorting said, "No, he damn after stomping a mud hole into me and making me feel like shit, decided to sleep off his extreme anger. Damn brat fell asleep standing in front of me." Kakashi giggling said, "Be lucky he didn't curve stomp you like he did the Uchiha brat." Sarutobi then said, "So that's why he was limping." Kakashi shaking his head said, "Oh no, he's limping because he decided to try and force himself on Haku. Naruto broke the boy's leg in 6 different places, then kicked the boy in the balls so hard he actually lifted into the air a little. Haku then made sure the little shit wouldn't be having any children by sterilizing him. Zabuza was oh so close to ending the boy's life." Sarutobi crossed his legs and asked, "What about the Haruno?" Kakashi giggling said, "Naruto got tired up putting up with her and not only broke her arm in 9 different places, but then shattered her jaw with a punch. So I think he was holding back on you Anko or you'd be in a coma or worse right now." Anko groaning said, "I believe it." Sarutobi was about to say something when his front door was kicked open by 3 kids, all looking like mini Narutos, hell they even had some orange on them. Konohamaru spotting Anko asked Anko ni where's boss and don't even try to fool us by saying that he isn't in the village because we felt his killing intent. Sarutobi hearing this blinked and asked, "How is it that you 3 know what killing intent is?" Mogi bowing to him said, "Naruto Nai has been training us after school. He introduced us to killing intent so that we wouldn't freeze up if we were ever came across it. He also started us on the tree climbing exercise, along with making sure we understood a shinobi's greatest tool." Kakashi hearing this blinked and asked, "What is a shinobi's greatest tool?" Yuden pushing up his glasses said, "A shinobi's greatest tool is deception." Kurenai blinked asked, "He told you this?" All 3 kids smiling said, "Boss big brother told us that." Kakashi said something like, "Look underneath the underneath and that hiding your skills and powers from within the shadows was one way to deceive the enemy." Kakashi nodding sagely said, "That is definitely something I would say to Naruto." Konohamaru deadpanning said, "Boss also said you told him something about Hyuga's always having a big chest and the quiet ones being the loudest in bed." Kakashi hearing this gained wide eyes and paled as the temperature in the room dropped drastically. Anko somehow on her feet with a powerful glare in her eyes cracked her knuckles and with a sickly sweet smile on her face asked Kakashi, "Baka, you'd better not be trying to corrupt my innocent darling little Naruto." Kakashi quickly said, "Hokage-sama let him read his version of Icha." Sarutobi hearing this gulped as Anko and Kurenai were now both giving him a powerful glare. He then witnessed Kakashi vanish in a poof of smoke. He nearly cried when Konohamaru said, "If Icha is that orange book the old man reads all the time, then he let me read it too." Mogi hearing this said, "Hey Kono, let's go find big brother." Yuden somehow knowing that the Sadame was about to be beaten, said, "Yes, let's go find boss." The 3 kids then left, ignoring the pleading eyes of Sarutobi as Kushina, Kaien, Akane, Anko, Kurenai and the purple-haired Anbu slowly descended upon him. Minato, Link, Kakashi, Naruko, and a curious Natsumi wisely left the room. Later in the day, Naruto could be seen sitting on a stool in his favorite food place in the village. Ginks was attached to his back as he stirred his ramen with his chopsticks, not paying attention to much around him. He was deep in thought trying to process what he had learned. He was also slightly happy that he had unlocked more power of the Chaosigan. He could now predict movement like the Sharingan and had unlocked the animal path of the Rinnegan. Sighing, he slipped a few noodles into his mouth just as he felt someone sit beside him. Moving his eyes to his left, he let a small smile appear on his face, spotting Kakashi. Kakashi, ordering a bowl of ramen, said, "Alright Naruto, it's time for that explanation I never got." Naruto, smirking, said, "Not until the others arrive." Kakashi, quirking an eyebrow, blinked when Anko, Ibiki, Inochi, Ino, Zabuza, Haku, Konohamaru, Mogi, Yuden, Kurenai, Hinata, Guy, Rock Lee, Niji, Kiba, Shino, Iruka, Shikamaru, Chaoji, Tenten, Asuma, Yuago, Heiei, and surprisingly a perfectly fine Sarutobi. Once everyone was there, Naruto said, "Am-chan, close up the stand. This is something you're gonna wanna hear." Am, nodding, closed the shop along with Tucci. Once everyone was seated, Naruto crossed his arms and said, "What I'm about to tell you is 100% true. No one interrupt me until I'm finished, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions." Now what Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku most likely know that you guys don't is that during Team 7's mission, I was technically drowned by Uchiha Sasuke. During this time I was confronted by 3 gorgeous women. The first being the goddess of death herself, Tsubasa. Next was the mother of the sage of 6 paths, Otsutsuki Kagaya. Then there was Kami, or the goddess of my summons, the Pokemon, Arceus. I was woken up by Tsubasa using a syringe full of Kagaya's blood that, with the help of divine forces, expunged all human DNA inside of me and transplanted her DNA inside of me. This making me Otsutsuki Naruto. I was also blessed with the powers of a few of Kami's very powerful children. Finally, Tsubasa informed me that I was now a member of the Eternal Council of Deities. I did this by becoming the god of carnage, technology and destruction. Sadly, she had to remove Jinx to do so, and for those of you who don't know, Jinx is the true name of the Kyuubi. Happily, Jinx was able to be sealed inside of my new sword, which used to be Zabuza's sword. I gained my Dijutsu from Kagaya, who is my mom now. It's the 4th great Dijutsu that has all of the powers of the other 3. It's fully evolved from, has 36 Tomo and 6 rings. So far I only have 3 rings and 6 Tomo. This gives me the abilities of the Byakugan and recently unlocked the predicting ability of the Sharingan and one of the 6 paths of the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan, by the way, gives me full access to all elemental affinities. Everyone hearing this had wide eyes. He, with a smile on his face, asked any questions. Ino, shooting her hand into the air, asked, "What are Pokemon and what powers did you get from them?" Naruto, laughing and sipping some of his ramen, said, "Pokemon are very intelligent beings from a distant dimension governed by Kami. They come in all shapes and sizes, and their power levels range from that of an academy student to that of a tailed beast. Most of the ones that could rival a tailed beast in power are legendary or rare. I will tell you the powers I got from them. First, let me inform you that Kami-chan gave me the powers of only legendaries. The first of said legendaries was the ghost dragon ruler of the alternate dimension of the Pokemon dimension. Her name is Giratina and she has 2 forms. I think Kami-chan called her a rebellious princess or something. When I tap into her power, I can create rifts in the world and teleport to a pocket dimension. I can also see lore trap things inside of said pocket dimension. Then we have the living embodiment of fire molters who can create flames so hot they put the flames of the sun to shame. Kakashi, Zabuza, Haku, Anko and Wave have already witnessed me use her power. Then there's her Arctic sister, Articuno, who could create blizzard so strong it could freeze a polar bear. Anko has had the pleasure of witnessing me using her power. Then we have Kyogre, who can create entire oceans with just a swing of one of her mighty fins. With her power I can create entire aquatic ecosystems, and if I tapped into her primal powers, flood the world. There's Mutwo, who's very powerful, yet equally as awkward. She has power over the mind and can crush a being's mind with a simple though. With her power I can speak with my mind, move objects using telekinesis, crush someone's mind, and most likely turn someone into my living breathing puppet. Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku witnessed me use a little of her power. Lastly is Zekrom, who according to Kami is the Pokemon version of the goddess of storms. She has lightning in her power and from what I've read from her profile under the summoning contract can bring entire mountains down with a single lightning bolt. Everyone hearing this paled, well, everyone besides Konohamaru, Mogi and Yuden, who were looking at Naruto with stars in their eyes. Haku asked, "If you're part of the Eternal Deity Council, does that make you the youngest member?" Naruto, nodding, said yes, the eldest being Izanagi and Izanami, though I wouldn't be foolish enough to call Izanami-sama old to her face. Zabuza, ignoring this, asked, "Are you going to use the symbol the people of Wave made as your official symbol?" Naruto, shrugging, said, "I don't see why not for now." Anko asked, "Are any of your summons big enough to, I don't know, stop a raging Biju?" Naruto, sighing, said, "Size really doesn't matter when it comes to the Pokemon, but including Kami herself, 18. Everyone hearing this blinked. Kurenai asked, "You said size doesn't matter, why not?" Naruto smiling at her making her gain a small blush said, leave it to the Genjutsu mistress to hear that. Muto can crush anything with her mind, including Konoha if she wants. Articuno can freeze entire oceans if so much as thinks about it. Darkrai can trap you in a never-ending nightmare if she wants. Suicune can blast you with purified high-pressure chilled water stream if she wanted to. Helmolters could melt you if you pissed her off, and the same could be said for any Pokémon. Asuma hearing this asked, how many Pokémon are there? Naruto blinking said, 720. Everyone gasped hearing this and shouted, that many? Naruto nodding said yes. Sarutobi asked, do you want me to inform the council of any of this? Naruto snorting said, you can tell them all of this for all I care. There's not a thing they can do about it. Inochi groaning said, damn, this is going to cause one long meeting. Naruto laughed at this. AM then asked, are you going to let your teammates know this? Naruto snorting said, no chance in hell. Kiba laughing asked, are you afraid the Uchiha will demand that you make him a god? Naruto laughing said no, I'd rather make out with Akimaru than do that. I'm afraid what the pink howler monkey is going to do once she finds out. Akimaru hearing this barked and growled. Kiba laughing said, that's his point Akimaru. Hayate coughing a little asked, are you going to let your god status go to your head? Naruto snorting said, hell no, I'm still trained until I drop, rest a little, get up and train even more. Just because I become a god doesn't mean I'm going to let my skills drop. Guy gaining flames in his eyes said Yosh. Naruto-kun's flames of youth burn brightly. I must run 1,000 laps around Konoha on my hands until I catch up to him. Lee shooting up shouted Naruto-kun, you are now my eternal rival. Naruto, who had been sipping some more of his ramen, made the mistake of asking, I'm sorry, did you say something? Lee hearing this gained unholy flames in his eyes along with Guy. Both men then shouted, curse you and your hip attitude, my eternal rival. Naruto blinking at this, turned to everyone else and asked, what the hell just happened? Kakashi patting Naruto on his back said, the other curse of being so bad is Naruto. Weirdos declaring you as their eternal rival and always challenging you to even weirder contest. Yuago asked, do you need help with your Kenjutsu training? Naruto rolling his eyes said, I was going to ask you, hate or no brows about helping me later to get Jinx knee to stop nagging me. Shikamaru hearing this smiled and said, now you see my plight. Naruto snorting said, no, Shika, women aren't troublesome, older sisters are troublesome. I mean look at me, I have 8 of them and 6 of them are gods. 1 is a demon and the last is Anko. Anko hearing this said hey. Naruto waving his hand said, don't try to front, we all know that out of 8 of my sister you're the most sane and that's pushing it. Anko pouted at this, while everyone else giggled. Konohamaru asked boss, will you be teaching us any awesome jutsu? Naruto looking at him said, that depends on if you 3 can stay out of trouble, pay attention to Iruka's lectures, what elemental affinities you have, and if you 3 can climb trees using just your feet yet. Iruka hearing this gained wide eyes and asked, it was you who taught them how the tree climbing exercise. Naruto turning to him nodded and said, yeah, I taught it to them, to get them to stop bugging me. Iruka sweat dropping hearing this said, well, they can climb trees using only their feet. Shino pushing up his shades asked, are there any bug-like Pokémon? Naruto smiling at Shino said, Shino my comrade, there's an entire type dedicated to bugs, hell there's even a legendary bug Pokémon. Shino actually smiled hearing this. Kakashi then asked, are you going to keep putting Sasuke and Sakura in their place? Naruto finishing his ramen said, is the old man a pervert? Sarutobi choking on his ramen, glared at Naruto when Yuago, Kurenai and Anko all said, he sure is. Naruto and the others laughed at this. Niji then asked, what are you going to do about the Namikaze family? Naruto gaining a passive face said, nothing as I'm no longer part of that family. I am Otsutsuki Naruto. He then turning to Sarutobi said, by the way I'm gonna need my stuff put back in my apartment. Sarutobi nodding said, I'll hire a genin team to do so. Naruto snorting said, fine, just don't hire Team 7 to do so, or a certain secret will be told to a few certain high-rank Kunoichi of the village. Sarutobi blanching said, I wasn't even considering hiring Team 7 for the mission. In fact Team 10 will be doing the mission tomorrow morning. Naruto nodding said good. Until then I'll be sleeping at the tower or maybe in one of the interrogation rooms. Ibiki hearing this smiled and said, speaking of, I finally beat your record, Brad. Naruto hearing this quirked an eyebrow and asked, really, by how much? Anko smirking said, 1 second. Naruto laughed at this and Ibiki gained a little black cloud over his head. Naruto shaking his head, stood to his feet and put his hand over his mouth to stop the yawn he felt coming. Shaking his head he said, alright people, it's getting late so I'll see you party people later. He then walked out the ramen stand. The others finishing their ramen and paying up all went their separate ways, some thinking about a certain blonde, others wondering how things was going to change from here. The next morning, Naruto could be seen walking towards training ground 7, intent on getting some training in. Of course he was heading there very early, hell the sun had barely even poked its head out. Lee arriving at his location, took off his shirt and jacket, placing them on one of the logs, he popped his muscles and said, "I'll start with some push-ups and crunches. Then I'll do some sprints. I'll work on my hand sign speed while doing the sprints and push-ups. Gotta get them down to 1 so the team can't copy any of my jutsu when he does unlock the Sharingan." He then got to work and before long 2 hours had passed and it was now 6. He standing up said, "Lee, I know you're there so let's spar for a while until it's time for you to meet your team." Lee appearing said, "Yosh. I accept your challenge, Naruto-kun. I will give it my all." Naruto rolling his eyes said, "Yeah, whatever, let's just go." He and Lee then vanished and an intense spar was soon rocking the training ground. When Sakura appeared an hour later, she was now perfectly fine. Her eyes widened spotting the damage done to the training ground and 2 people locked hands inside a deep hole near the center. She in her delusional mind thinking that this was Sasuke finally putting Naruto Baka in his place, ran over to the hole and gained wide eyes. Naruto could be seen standing there, sweat dripping down his body, his Chaosigan activated and locked on Lee, who was equally sweaty and trying to punch Naruto. Naruto gritting his teeth said, "Damn Lee. You're really making me sweat." Lee smiling said, "As are you, Naruto-kun. Exactly as I expected from my eternal rival." Naruto then started to push more chakra into his body, feeling Lee doing the same. Sakura was blasted away by the immense chakra both boys were putting out. Naruto's being a dark red, almost the color of blood, while Lee's was the normal blue. Sasuke who arrived seconds after Sakura was scowling at this, not believing what the dope was doing. Kakashi then appearing, Link spotting Naruto and Lee not too far from him. He wasn't surprised when Guy and his genin appeared. Guy spotting Naruto and Lee said, "Yosh. These two are stroking their flames of youth. Look at how intense Naruto-kun's eyes are." Niji rolling his eyes, said, "Guy-sensei, stop speaking of the flames of youth." Ten wasn't saying a word because she was too busy drooling at Naruto's muscled upper body. Kakashi realizing that he needed to break this little spar up said, "Yo Naruto. The fangirls are coming." Naruto hearing this quickly separated himself from Lee, appeared behind Kakashi and asked, "Where are those cursed beings coming from?" Kakashi smiling said, "I was just kidding Naruto, because if they were really coming I'd already be gone. Now come on, let's go get a D-rank mission." Naruto moving from behind Kakashi placed his hands behind his head and said, "Sure Kakashi-sensei, but we'd better not be chasing Tora again." Kakashi now reading his book said, "We're not." He then walked out of training ground 7, Naruto right beside him, followed by an scowling Sasuke and an angry Sakura. Chapter 4 4 days later and Naruto was chasing Konohamaru, Mogi and Yuden as he was helping the 3 with their speed by playing a game of ninja with them. Sakura had said something rude, but Naruto had pulled a Kakashi on her, making her very upset. Anyway, the 3 kids had just turned the corner when the sound of something colliding with something else could be heard. He then heard Konohamaru say, "Ow, that hurt." Moving around the corner, his eyes narrowed spotting some boy from Suna with a black hood on that had cat ears holding Konohamaru up by his long blue scarf. This boy had purple lines on his face that strangely looked like makeup. Standing behind him with a bored look on her face was a blonde-haired girl with a huge fan on her back. The makeup boy growling said, "That hurt you little twerp." The girl said, "Put him down Kankuro, we don't have time for this." Kankuro said, "Don't worry Tamari, I'm just going to teach the little brat a lesson." Tamari sighing said, "Whatever, just don't get me in trouble." Kankuro smirking at this lifted his fist to hit Konohamaru when he felt the edge of a sharp blade be pressed to his throat. He then heard someone growl out, "I suggest you put my little brother down before I slit your throat, San-nin." Kankuro dropping Konohamaru, blinked when the boy stuck his tongue out at him and said, "Boss just told you punk." Kankuro hearing this felt his blood boil, but before he could do anything he heard Tamari say, "Kankuro you idiot, I told you not to do anything stupid, but you didn't want to listen, and now the fucking god of carnage has his sword at not only your throat, but mine's too." Kankuro hearing this slowly turned his head and blanched spotting the Chaosigan staring at him. Naruto removing his sword from Kankuro's throat said, "You should listen to your pretty older sister from now on Catman, otherwise your blood will spill onto the streets of Konoha." Naruto turning his head to the tree, said, "Ichibi no Gaara, I know that you're in that tree. Come out now and I won't show you just why a tanuki should never anger a dragon." Both Sans siblings' eyes widened when Gaara appeared, bowed low in front of Naruto. Gaara said, "Forgive me my lord. I had no idea or intention to anger you. My idiot teammate also apologizes for getting in the way of your game with your little brother." Naruto blinking said, "Yeah, whatever." He then turning to Konohamaru said, "Alright Kono, because of your failure at not being aware of your surroundings, the 3 of you now have to play a game of dodge with Anko after listening to Iruka's lecture about awareness." All 3 kids groaned hearing this and walked towards the academy. Naruto walking behind them to make sure they got the academy, turned to the Sans siblings and said, "I look forward to meeting you 3 in the Chunin exams. Until then Tamari of the desert, Kankuro of the puppets, and Gaara of the desert." He then walked around the corner, missing the wide eyes of Kankuro, the smile on Gaara's face, and the small blush on Tamari's face. The arriving at the bridge for his team meeting wasn't surprised to find Sakura there pestering Sasuke for a date while said boy brooded. Naruto sitting down on the rails of said bridge pulled out Jinx and started to polish her, ignoring the now screeching Sakura. The girl never shut her yap, and honestly Naruto wanted to curb stomp her, but Kakashi had made him promise not to do so unless she did something really stupid. Sasuke on the other hand he had free reign with. He had already kicked the arrogant prick's ass 6 times, and 5 of those times he was half asleep. He sensing Kakashi arrive stood up and put Jinx over his shoulder. Kakashi appearing in a swirl of leaves, looked up from his book and smiled spotting Naruto and the other two. He pulling out 3 sheets of paper handed it to them and said, I have put you 3 in the Chunin exams. Meet at room 301 if you want to take the exam. Even if you don't I'm proud of you guys. He then vanished. Naruto snorting at this, decided that he would spend some time with Yuago, or maybe Kurenai. Vanishing in a small blizzard he appeared in training ground 8. Spotting Kiba, Shino and Hinata walking away he wondered where Kurenai was. He closing his eyes tapped into his psychic powers. Reaching out with his mind, he blinked finding Kurenai's mind not far away, trying to push some emotional pain away. Appearing beside her, he sat down on the log and asked, what's wrong Kurenai-sensei? Kurenai turning to him, tried to wipe the tears from her eyes and said, nothing's wrong. Naruto frowning gently grabbed her hand and said, you know I hate it when you lie to me. Kurenai hearing this sighed and said, I was going to tell Asuma how I felt about him when I walked in on him making out with Haruno Mabiki. Naruto scowling said, it broke your heart didn't it? She turning away said yes, my heart feels like it's breaking into a million different pieces. Naruto sighing, said, you can lean on my shoulder to cry if you want. Kurenai shaking her head said no, I need to be a strong Kunoichi. Naruto rolling his eyes said bullshit. You need to let your emotions out or they'll just boil over at the most unfortunate time. Hence why Ankoni and myself always pick fights with each other, letting us relieve any pent-up emotions we may have. Kurenai hearing this giggled and said, is that why she's been covered in bruises for the past week? Naruto snorting said, she's not the only one with bruises. He lifting up his shirt, revealed his chiseled upper body. A large bluish bruise on the center of his chest, along with a small bruise over his right rib. She gasping asked, how many bruises do you have? Naruto laughing said, those are the only 2, because I've been working on my regenerative powers. It seems as though I can heal myself with ease, as long as it's within 5 minutes from my last healing. Haku-chan has a theory that since I'm the god of carnage then if I slaughter an army of something like that then maybe I'll heal even faster. Kurenai hearing this sighed and asked, am I pretty Naruto? Naruto blinked hearing this and said Kurenai-sensei you're one of the most gorgeous women I have ever seen. Not only are you intelligent, but you're a dedicated Jonin sensei and not afraid to put a pervert in their place. You have a beauty that most people would kill to have, yet you don't have a bit of arrogance inside of you. Your ruby red eyes sparkle in the light, yet when they need to be, can be like ice cold lakes. Your flawless alabaster skin that sometimes twinkles in the light. Your long wavy black hair that could captivate the entire world. He didn't know it, but his sincere words was causing a huge blush to appear on Kurenai's face. He turning to her noticed the blush, but chose to ignore it. He smiling asked, you wanna hear a song I've been working on Kurenai-sensei? She shaking her blush away said sure, just as long as it's not perverted. He smiling reached into his pocket and pulled out his black Gibson guitar. He then getting it ready took a deep breath and said, I hope you enjoy this song Kurenai-sensei. It's called Walk on Water or Drowned by Mayday Parade I don't own, well this hurts me more than I can stand to say in just one sitting. You left the room so I can pray so I'll pace the halls to see if I could find a hole in something or maybe places to escape but everybody knows this is the part of breaking down in anybody's arms, I'm reaching down and hoping this one's ours, God please let this stay and then I fell into pieces and she fell into me saying, play this song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing, you got here just in time to let me know I was worth saving, it's nothing more than for the heart too proud to breathe, but I'm too scared to say the things worth saying who knew this trip would be this hard. As I'm looking to the sky to count the stars I wonder if you see them where you are I'm down on both my knees and pray tomorrow brings no pain. And then I fell into pieces and she fell into me saying, play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing to me. And yeah we all fall to pieces but at least you fell to me, but this is a wrong night, so tell me good night and let it go, I stayed here and you just pray my head would clear and I'd stay safe, the pieces left the love had changed, just saved everything and everybody knows this is the part of breaking down in anybody's arms, I'm reaching down and hoping this one's ours God please let this stay and then I fell into pieces and she fell into me saying, play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing. And then I fell into pieces and she fell into me saying, play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing. And yeah, we all fall to pieces but at least you fell to me, but this is a wrong night, tell me goodnight and let it go, oh Naruto ending the song, Blink spotting not only Kurenai, but Anko, Yuago, Ino, Hinata, Mogi, Am, Haku and Tenten all swooning over him. He sweat dropping said okay maybe I overdid it. Ino then squealed very loudly and tried to glomp him. He switching with a random log said, on that note I'll be taking my leave. Exit stage left. He then ran for his life, a group of swooning females behind him, one of them being a kunai flicking Anko. He finally arriving at his apartment, locked the doors, shut the windows, and placed a few chakra seals to keep people out. Sighing in relief he took off his shirt and placed Jinx against his wall. Heading towards the kitchen, he rolled his eyes spotting the ramen bowl from Namika's Kushina. He tossing it into the trash, reached into his fridge and pulled out a carton of orange juice, 3 eggs, a thick piece of bacon, and some carrots. He fixing himself a small dinner, simply ate his meal. Once done eating he walked into his bathroom. Taking off the rest of his clothes he climbed into the hot shower. Washing the dirt and grime off, he closed his eyes and let the hot water pour down on his platinum blonde hair. Once done with his shower, he turned it off. Walking into his bedroom, he opening his bedroom dresser, slipped on a pair of purple Carnage boxers. He then walked over to his desk. Opening a drawer he pulled out a small tube. Opening it he willed the shiny substance out of the tube and made it dance a little. He smiling said, it seems as my nanobits are forming rather nicely. Soon they will be complete and I'll be bringing new technology to the world. He putting the nanobits back into the tube, corked it and put it back into the drawer. He then yawning said, it's time to get some sleep. He turning off the lights, crawled into his bed. The next morning he would roll over and nuzzle his face into the soft warm pillow his face was buried in. He then heard someone moan. His mind instantly kick-started as pillows weren't warm, nor did they moan. Backflipping out of his bed, he got in a stance ready to kill the intruder. He sweat dropped spotting Kurenai laying in his bed, dressed in black lace-matching pair of bra and panties. Shaking his head, he walked into his bathroom and sweat dropped even more spotting Anko and Yuago knocked out in his bathtub snuggled up to each other. Shaking his head he brushed his teeth and took a piss. Walking back into his bedroom he got dressed. He then walking into his kitchen, nearly face-palmed spotting Ino, Hinata, Tenten and Am, all passed out on the floor surrounding his kitchen table. Shaking his head he tiptoed to his fridge and opened it. Grabbing a toaster pastry, he grabbed Jinx and placed her on his back. He was about to walk out his door when he remembered his new invention to pass time and to help ignored the pink-haired banshee. Creeping into his room, he gently slid open his drawer and pulled out an iPod with black headphones. Putting it into his pocket, he then walked outside of his apartment, not even wanting to know how all 7 females managed to get into his locked and sealed apartment. He arriving at the academy, rolled his eyes seeing no one there yet. Walking to the academy wall, he put the headphones in his ears and turned to iPod on. Picking one of his recorded songs, he started to hum, you have no idea how unproductive it is to fall in and out of you as often as I do. Lately I've been feeling grey, but today I won't wind up next to you. His was the day the Chunin exams began and Naruto showed the world why he was the god of carnage, technology and destruction. And this will be end of this first part of this series. I hope you enjoyed and see you all in next video. Goodbye everyone.